if we want to understand true history, that we must be brave enough to examine history and see what the circumstances were at the time of his birth, of his life. If we don't do that, if we're not willing to do that, then our faith is surely blind, and Jesus did not want us to have blind faith. Now, Mother Mary, she was a lady who was married 3 times. Her first husband was most likely Prince Antipater, the eldest son of King Herod. She would have been betrothed to him quite young. She was a princess in the line of Benjamin, the daughter of a very powerful priest who was the head of the temple in Judea. And King Herod would have wanted to marry his eldest son to somebody of Davidic or Benjamin lineage because he was calling in the Messiah. King Herod wanted the Messiah to be born in his bloodline. He wanted eternal grace. He wanted eternal fame. He wanted to be the grandfather of the Messiah. So he married his son off to Princess Mary, Mother Mary. And when Mother Mary was about 6 months pregnant, King Herod stabbed his son 27 times, killing him dead because of a rumor. So Mother Mary was then ushered out of the palace, dressed in the garb of a servant, so that no one would recognize her. She was ushered out of the city, and she was swiftly married off to Joseph to prevent anyone from figuring out where she was. And this is how Mary escaped death at the hands of King Herod. Now, another fable attached to the King Herod story is that he killed all these thousands of babies. Actually, there is no historical record of this anywhere. This was a lie. It was made up. It was another ancient historical story that was taken and applied to the Jesus story, like many fables. For example, Queen Isis and her son, Horus. She was an eternal virgin. She was a goddess. She was revered as the Queen of Heaven. Her son Horus was the son of God. Her son Horus was executed and died, and he was raised on the 3rd day. He walked on water, he healed the sick, he healed the blind, he touched the lepers and healed them. He walked on water. There were so many similarities between Horus and Jesus. Now, many of these stories were added to the Jesus story as a way of getting the pagans, the people who were worshipping Queen Isis around the world at that time, to convert to Christianity. So they took Queen Isis and they superimposed Queen Isis with Mother Mary, and they took the story of Horus and they superimposed his story with the story of Jesus. Now, the killing of all the babies was actually something that happened during Lord Krishna's time, and it was King Kamsa who slayed all the babies for fear that this child, Krishna, was going to be born, and he would come and he would kill this great demon, King Kamsa. It was prophesied. So he killed all the babies, even up to 2-3 years old, out of fear for his life. This story was then applied to the Jesus story again, to get people to have faith in the Christ story and to convert to Christianity. So once we remove these folk tales from the Jesus story, what are we left with? We're left with the real man, the real Yeshua. Who was he? This great sage who spoke of peace and unity and kindness and compassion and forgiveness. His message was clear. He was powerful beyond measure, and he was the Messiah, not just the Messiah of the Judeans or the Romans, but the Messiah of the entire world. Because what was his mission? His mission was to break down every boundary, every wall that has separated us from one another, to unite humanity before one God and one Goddess.